Okay, I'll be brief, at least I'll try. What I'm going to talk about now, it's emotions. In particular, I'm going to consider relations between emotions and infrastructure of political action, and in so doing I'll compare two groups emerged after the election movement, after recent protest. My colleagues already mentioned them. I'll repeat some things, but I'm going to make it more clear to make clear some differences. And the first one is from city Pushkin city is near St. Petersburg, and the second one is from it's located near Moscow, in Moscow region. And why emotions? It's common sense that emotions are present in the protests, and all people during demonstrations feel solidarity, approval, disapproval, anger, and so on and so on. And it's important. It's an important thing because emotions encourage them for further action. Emotions provide affective solidarities and so on and so on. But the most important thing here for me, it's not emotions during protest events, big protest events, but emotions after these protest events. To put it differently, how to institutionalize these emotions produced by these big protest events. How emotions can contribute to long-term political engagement, to sustainable collective action. And to consider this issue, I'm going to compare these groups because they deal with emotions in different ways. In other words, emotional management, is in one case is insufficient, and in another case it's pretty good. And I'll begin with the very beginning, with the start of this mobilization, and notwithstanding unexpectedness, it was not. It had some basis, and the basis was formed before the mobilization itself. It was formed through counter-public sphere, through lively internet discussions, all this active blogging about politics, about anti-corruption issues, and so on and so on. As the last straw was a video flooded the internet in December about frauds. The first issue was about frauds, and the second issue was about police brutality during protest. And first of all, there was about elections. These videos mattered too. I watched only 10, but they affected me so much. You see how they deceive you. I flew into rage. What the hell? It's a citation. And the second one was about police brutality during the protest. And suddenly police surrounded them and cut them up. After that, there were a lot of emotions. Emotions prompted me to participate in oppositional activity. And these videos produced what Jasper calls moral shock. It's like when events, when we see that what is not that someone had to expect, and and then through this moral shock, people prompted to participate, to engage in mass rallies, and so on and so on. And there are two main moral combinations which were present during this protest. The first one was about humiliation and justice, referring to Oleg's comment on justice. I would not agree that there is no matters of justice in this protest. I would say that there is justice, but it's not justice in sense of social justice. It's justice in judicial sense, in sense of equality under law. And the first moral battery in terms of Jasper is combination of negative and positive emotions, and tension between them encourages people to action. And for instance, the issue of dishonesty, the issue of disgrace can unite many people. That is element of injustice, virtually of humiliation. And many people speak about humiliation, justice, and all these things. And the second one was about dissociation and unity. And as Artyom and Oleg already mentioned this issue in their article, that it's connected with all this depoliticization. I didn't want to discuss it now, but this feeling of collective solidarity, of unity, was like effect, was like a response to this previous situation of atomization. And the second moral battery is dissociation and unity. My first impression was about unity. I liked that when I was in Чистые пруды. Чистые пруды is a place in Moscow. And when it all began, they were united from the bottom of their hearts. It didn't matter whether you are left, right, or liberal. And then they suddenly started splitting. It's not a good deal. It's a common narrative for many informants. They say that a movement should be united and so on and so on. And these emotions prompted also these groups, people from these groups to participate, to create these groups, to sustain collective action. And and they organized this group. There are something like 30 groups in Moscow and regions and so on. And 4 of them are in the center of our interest, as guys described it. And I'm going to compare 2 of them. One is near Moscow, one is near Санкт-Петербурге. And the 3 of them, which are, there are 4 groups, and 3 of them have some kind of similar life course. They emerged after the protest, but the last one, Group Zhikovsky, it has different life course. It was formed before the protest events, and they had some activity, but this election, these events, they just breathed new life into this already established structures. And it seems to be the most successful today. It composed of a great bulk of civic structures. It's Popular Council, Coordination Council, independent newspaper, and so on and so on. And there are different agendas: local elections, ecology, city infrastructure, and so forth. And it successfully recruits new militants. And emotional management in these 2 different groups are really different, because in case of Pushkin city, this sense, this feeling of solidarity, it turns out to despondency and disappointment. Yes, one of the militants replies to the question about immigration. Yes, I always think about it. All the time I want to leave the country. And then he describes rallies he participated in beside the group's activity. More and more disappointments come from the rallies. You understand that people who participate in the rallies are more and more strange. And instead of encouraging people for further action, these emotions produced by protest turned to disappointment. And it's interesting why. And it happened because of absence of infrastructure. He says there was no specific activity because there were no solid reasons. It was unclear where to put this energy. While the second case, the case of Zhukovsky, is successful because this infrastructure was present. They also was affected by this moral shocks, all those effects. They said that this charge was sufficed for a long time, but they could realize it to use it somehow, to put it somehow. First of all, because they have a real infrastructure of their activity is organized somehow. For instance, one of the key activists referring to Popular Council, she says, we create parallel reality. The time will come when it turns into reality. The reality is when we will elect deputies committee next year. And the second factor is agenda, because they deliberately create agenda. There is a particular man in Zhukovsky group who are in charge of agenda formation. And we have the secretary of Popular Council. We pay secretary to let her not to have a job, and she forms agenda. And finally, there is a collective identity, very strong. For example, first of all, And this collective identity is closely connected with activist identity. They said, I was very proud of Zhukovchani who acted in this way. They blocked transport, destroyed the fencing on construction sites, they were caught by police and fined, and then rally was held, and so on and so on. Its identity, it's not only collective identity, it's closely connected with collective action. And moreover, this identity has what McAdam calls normative dimension, because it's not only identity, but this identity prompts these people to act. Citation. It was not for nothing that I withdrew from the business. As you see, it's an example of the moment when you give the flag and at the same time you become in charge of something. And if you do not fit with the requirements, people start to give a sidelong glance at you. We see the contradiction between this man and this group, because group, there are some moral obligations and which involves him into protest. And these factors lead to transformation of the short and not sustainable emotions into long-term and sustainable political participation. As Militant points out, that is why it is necessary to turn rage and indignation into something more constructive. In order to gather not 100,000 but 500,000 of people to rally, we have to structure activity and educate them. They clearly understand that this effect should be institutionalized and organized and put somewhere. And that's all, I guess. It's these factors, and that's all.
These questions.
Thank you. Interesting presentation. I would like to know more about the sense of neighborhood. To what extent this sense of neighborhood is some kind of living in commonality, influence political participation?
I guess it influences it strongly because their collective identity is really connected with the place, with their neighborhood, and all the problems which they try to solve. It's problems of their community. It's like roads, kindergartens, parks, and so on. And the very name of this identity, Zhukovchani, it's connected with the city, with the local community. And yes, I guess it influences collective action because all their collective actions are connected with the city and with this local community. Ilya?
Well, I have a simple question.
Yeah.
Is it really justified to compare Pushkin and Zhukovsky? Because in Pushkin there are much fewer activists, just few activists. In Zhukovsky there are a lot of activists. Probably just a simple fact that a lot of people gather to change something that creates positive moral energy. And in Pushkin they are almost, they are lost among the depoliticized people. So probably that's the simple answer. Why there is such a difference?
I guess, why not? Because all they were affected by these emotions. Yes, I recognize that people from Zhukovsky, they are more experienced really because they had mobilization before. Not so big as electoral mobilization, post-electoral, but they had nevertheless. But I think it matters.
I think it's also important that Zhukovsky is a very special case. Yeah, it's a home to some activists of federal importance, of national importance, like Alexei Gaskarov. So Zhukovsky is the birthplace of several opposition tendencies and currents in Russia. And Pushkin is more marginal in this sense. Probably this also contributes.
Who beside Gaskarov is well known beyond the Zhukovsky? I don't know.
His friends.
Finally, discussions should be later.
Alexei Gaskaras is really well-known left activist, and he's from Zhukovsky. He also participates in this council and all this.
He's in prison now.
Yes, he is political prisoner nowadays.
I have also a question about the two cases, the comparison of the two cases, and so what can explain the different type of emotions. Usually, urban movements tend to be short, very well more or less, because they focus on some issues. Either they win or they lose, and then they move to something else, but often after a period of demobilization. And what sometimes counts is the experience of having been successful or not in the previous mobilization. So anyhow, there is a demobilizations, but if demobilizations follows the impression that you have won something, it's different in terms of emotional feelings than if you think you have lost. Are these two cases different
In this, yes, they had successful mobilizations before. It's a little bit different stories, but I think that nevertheless it matters really, because they were really passive before this mobilization. They tried to organize some forum about ecology, but their activities are not so active, and this mobilization just inspired, encouraged them.
It was like rebirth.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is basically that emotional energy is just a fuel for already existing identities and organizations, or that they actually have some structuring power and they can be converted to new identities and new organizations?
I guess yes, because
But then what
No,
was dispersed in one case and was not dispersed in another?
I mean, if you mean that these emotions can become, it's not just a fuel, but can be something more structured. It's true, because Jasper, for example, he discusses that he claims that emotions can be a goal, not only a mean. For instance, I don't know. No, I guess yes.
Just because he's working with phrase, but okay.
And I also think that the case of this mobilization of these groups is also like confirmation of this idea, because what people tried to do after this mobilization is they tried to prolong this emotion. Like it was not like only fuel; it was also a goal. And no?
Well, you see, in the two cases you already said that in one case they already had some pre-existing structures, experience, some identities, and in that case emotional energy which came to that structures helped them to evolve. And in another case they didn't have such structures, so the emotional energy was just dispersed.
But I don't think that there is a contradiction between emotions like just a fuel and emotions like a goal, for instance. Why not?
There is. Anyway, thank you.
Okay.